The bell above the flower shop door jingled, a soft, friendly sound that usually meant regulars coming in for tulips or cappuccinos. But this time, it was followed by the unmistakable sound of expensive shoes hitting the floor too fast. Haerim, a South Korean beautiful but decent young flower shop owner, glanced up from behind the counter, still holding a pair of pruning shears. The man who entered looked like he'd walked straight out of a luxury magazine. Tailored black suit, silver watch, perfect hair. And the expression of someone allergic to small talk. "Do you take express orders?" he asked, glancing at his phone. "I need a bouquet. Something impressive. In 10 minutes. Haerim raised an eyebrow. "Express? You want romance in 10 minutes? He blinked. "Excuse me? You're clearly in a hurry. Big apology? Marriage proposal? Or just trying to impress someone who doesn't like you yet?" The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile, but it didn't quite make it. "Business meeting." Haerim leaned on the counter. "Ah, corporate love. My favorite kind." She pointed at the chalkboard menu. "Coffee first, bouquet second. You look like you need caffeine more than flowers." He exhaled. "Miss, I really don't have—" Crash. Haerim had turned too fast, her elbow knocking over a mug of cappuccino, straight onto his immaculate grey tie. Both froze. Steam rose between them. "Oh no," she breathed. That was freshly brewed sincerity. He looked down, eyes widening at the spreading stain. You just decorated your outfit," she said quickly, grabbing napkins. "A touch of latte art. Very exclusive." For the first time, his composure cracked. "Do you always assault customers with coffee?" "Only the rude ones," she shot back, dabbing at his tie with an apologetic grin. "You might be the CEO of whatever, but my coffee attacks everyone equally." He stared at her for a long beat, then, unexpectedly, laughed, short and disbelieving. "You're unbelievable." "Thank you. So, about your bouquet. I recommend red peonies. They symbolize passion and disaster, both of which you clearly attract." Haerim tied the final ribbon around the bouquet and set it gently on the counter. Bold red peonies surrounded by white ranunculus and eucalyptus. "There! One masterpiece for Mr. Coffee-stained CEO." Jinwoo crossed his arms, inspecting it like it was a quarterly report. "It's red. Very observant." "I said impressive, not romantic." "Same thing," Haerim said, wiping her hands on her apron. "Trust me, no one ever forgets a red bouquet. It screams confidence. Or guilt. Either way, you'll make an impression." He sighed, taking out his wallet. "How much?" 75,000 yuan. He handed her a black credit card, the kind that probably came with its own bodyguard. She blinked. "Wow, your card probably costs more than my monthly rent." "Just run it." "Oh, I will. Maybe twice." He gave her a look, the kind that was supposed to intimidate people into silence. Unfortunately for him, Haerim was immune. When the receipt printed, she tore it off and handed it to him with a smirk. "Enjoy your bouquet, Mr. Latte. Try not to spill any more emotions today." "Mr. Latte." "You earned it," she said cheerfully. He blinked, half offended, half bewildered. "Do you talk to all your customers like this?" "Only the fancy ones. Keeps the air fresh." For a second, she could swear he was fighting a smile. Then he straightened his tie, or what was left of it, and cleared his throat. "You're something else, miss?" "Haerim," she said. "Owner of chaos. Spiller of coffee." "Noted." He turned to leave, bouquet in hand, but paused at the door. The bell jingled softly as he glanced back at her. "For the record, Miss Haerim, not everyone who's in a hurry is rude." She tilted her head. "And not everyone who spills coffee owes you an apology." His lips curved just slightly. "We'll see about that." The door closed behind him, leaving Haerim standing there with a faint smile and a coffee-stained counter. Soo-yeon poked her head out from the back room. "Who was that?" Haerim shrugged, picking up her rag. "Some guy who thinks red flowers are dangerous. Probably allergic to joy." "Mm-hmm," Soo-yeon grinned. "You blushed." "I did not." Your ears did. Haerim rolled her eyes and wiped the counter harder than necessary, but she couldn't help glancing at the door, half expecting him to walk back in and complain about the coffee again. Instead, the bell stayed silent. The air smelled like peonies and trouble. And for some reason, she couldn't stop smiling. Chapter 2. The Return of Mr. Latte. Haerim was stacking vases behind the counter when the bell jingled again. Her heart did a weird little hop. Not that she'd admit it, because she already knew who it was. Sure enough, there he was, Kang Jinwoo, sharp suit slightly less sharp than yesterday thanks to a faint wrinkle across his chest. And yes, the tie looked even sadder than the coffee-stained one from before. Back so soon? Haerim asked, leaning on the counter with a mock yawn. Did the board meeting go poorly, or are you here for emotional therapy? He froze, then pressed a hand to his chest like she had physically wounded him. I am here to rectify a minor wardrobe incident. Oh? She raised an eyebrow. You mean the latte massacre? Exactly. I require compensation. Haerim pointed at a small cactus in a corner of the shop. For what it's worth, I recommend this one. Minimal maintenance. Won't stain your ties. Might survive your corporate lifestyle. Jinwoo frowned, but there was a twitch at the corner of his mouth. I was thinking maybe a replacement tie, but fine. I'll take your cactus recommendation. It's very aggressive looking. Suits my mood. Haerim laughed, grabbing the cactus and handing it to him. Careful, Mr. Latte. Prickly personality just like its owner. Don't start calling me that again, he said seriously, though his lips betrayed him with a twitch. You started it, she said, smirking. A moment of silence passed as he studied the little cactus in his hand. Then he sighed dramatically. You know, I don't think anyone has ever talked to me like this before. You have a reputation, Haerim replied, tilting her head. Distant, cold, untouchable. CEO material. But here you are, talking to a flower girl, all red in the face from coffee trauma. He actually laughed this time. Soft, genuine, and a little too loud for the quiet shop. Haerim tried not to notice how his smile lit up the room like sunlight on petals. So, he said, regaining some composure, about the bouquet I ruined yesterday. You mean the red peonies? She interrupted. No harm done. In fact, I'm thinking of charging you a late fee for emotional distress. I see. His eyes twinkled despite himself. And what would that cost me? Haerim tapped the cactus gently. One coffee date, no ties, no flowers, just you and me. To apologize, properly. He froze again, almost dropping the cactus. I'm not sure Think about it, she said, already turning back to the counter. I have to water these plants before they throw a rebellion. He stared after her, a small, helpless smile tugging at his lips. This isn't over, Miss Haerim. She didn't look back. It never is with you, Mr. Latte. The bell jingled again as the door closed behind him. Haerim wiped her hands, shook her head, and muttered, Billionaires and cacti. What a combination. Soo-yeon appeared again, snickering. I told you, he's smitten. Shut up, Haerim said, blushing despite herself. He's complicated. Sure. And I'm a cactus whisperer, Soo-yeon replied, grinning. Haerim rolled her eyes, but inside she couldn't stop smiling. Something told her that this minor wardrobe incident was just the beginning of a very, very chaotic season. Chapter 3. Flowers and Rumours. Haerim was arranging a new batch of tulips when her phone buzzed insistently. She wiped her hands on her apron and glanced at the screen. A notification from Soo-yeon. Soo-yeon, guess who's trending? Like, literally. Haerim frowned. What now? She tapped open the news link and nearly dropped the tulip she was holding. The headline read, Kang Jinwoo spotted with mystery girl at local flower shop. CEO smiles for the first time in months. Haerim's cheeks burned hotter than a sun-drenched rose. She scanned the photo. There she was, laughing, The tip of her apron caught in the corner of the shot, Jinwoo's tie somehow perfectly still, despite yesterday's catastrophe. She groaned. Of course, the one time I'm actually having fun. Soo-yeon barged into the shop, grinning like a fox. So, Coffee Stain's CEO is trending with you. I told you he was smitten. I am not smitten, Haerim protested, swatting a tulip for emphasis. It's just a photo, and he's a Chaebol, and I'm, well, me. So humble, Soo-yeon teased. Also, he's a Chaebol. Haerim sank onto a stool. I know that now. I didn't need a viral article to tell me that. Meanwhile, across the city, Jinwoo scrolled through the same article on his phone. His assistant peered over his shoulder. Sir, you're trending with a flower shop girl, she said carefully. I see that, he muttered, tapping the screen. Remove it. That's not exactly how news works, she said. Then bribe them. Or bribe them later. Just fix it. He set the phone down, his eyes lingering on Haerim's photo again. That laugh, the spark in her eyes, and the way she'd looked at him like he wasn't a Chaebol, just a guy who spilled coffee on her day. Back at Bloom & Brew, Haerim had just hung a sign on the door. Yes, I make billionaires look ridiculous. Come in anyway. Soo-yeon shook her head. You are asking for trouble. Or, Haerim said with a smirk, I'm asking for another coffee spill encounter, preferably with fewer cameras this time. A small part of her knew, deep down, that trouble had already found her. And it smelled like peonies, ambition, and laughter. Chapter 4. A business proposal, sort of. Haerim was halfway through arranging sunflowers when the bell above the door jingled again. She didn't even look up. If this is another influencer wanting a selfie with the Chaebol girl, I'm charging for camera time, she called out. A familiar voice replied, dry as ever. I didn't know you were monetizing your sarcasm now. Her scissors froze mid-air. She turned, and there he was. Kang Jinwoo standing in her shop again, looking painfully handsome and annoyingly calm. Mr. Latte, she said, narrowing her eyes. Back for your cactus's therapy session. He ignored that. I have a proposal. Haerim blinked. I'm not marrying you. He exhaled, rubbing the bridge of his nose. A business proposal, Haerim. Oh. She leaned on the counter, pretending to think. That's disappointing. My answer to the first one was going to be hilarious. He almost smiled. Almost. Kang Group is hosting a charity gala next month. We're highlighting small businesses that reflect community spirit. Let me guess, she said. You want me to supply flowers? Yes, exclusively, for the entire event. Haerim blinked. That's... Wait, you want me? Not one of your luxury vendors? He met her gaze steadily. Your work is genuine. It feels alive. For a second, she forgot how to breathe. Then her sarcasm kicked in like a reflex. Wow! Compliments and contracts? Are you sure you're not under the influence of flower pollen? I'm perfectly clear-headed, he said smoothly. This is business, not charity. Haerim crossed her arms. You sure about that? Because your company's entire image could buy me a city block. That's precisely why I need someone like you, he said, tone firm. Authentic, unfiltered. People like that don't last long in my world. Haerim studied him for a long moment. Then she sighed, wiping her hands on her apron. All right, Mr. Latte. I'll do it. But you have to promise. Here we go, he muttered. There's always a condition. She smiled sweetly. You don't boss me around. You're a client, not a dictator. He raised an eyebrow. I don't recall agreeing to those terms. Then I don't recall agreeing to make your flowers look nice. He stared at her, then let out a quiet laugh. Genuine, tired, amused all at once. Fine. You drive a hard bargain, Miss Haerim. I drive a scooter, actually. His head dropped into his hand as if he'd just realized he was in over his head. Soo-yeon peeked from the back, mouthing, Is that the guy? Haerim waved her off, trying not to grin. When Jinwoo left, Bouquet order in hand and contract terms agreed, Soo-yeon immediately pounced. "You're working for him? Are you insane?" "Probably," Haerim admitted, "but it's a big opportunity, and besides—" "Besides what?" Haerim glanced at the door where he'd just been standing. "He's kind of fun to annoy," Soo-yeon groaned. "You're doomed." "Maybe," Haerim said with a smile. "But at least my shop will look amazing at his fancy party." Outside, Jinwoo's car pulled away. His assistant gave him a sidelong glance. "So, you're hiring her for a major corporate event, strictly professional, right?" Jinwoo's answer came slower than expected. "Strictly complicated." Chapter 5. Petal Politics. The Kang Group Charity Gala was the kind of event that made headlines. Luxury cars gliding up marble driveways, chandeliers brighter than the moon, and a red carpet long enough to host its own fashion show. And somewhere amid all that glitter and chaos was Haerim, holding a clipboard and trying not to hyperventilate. Her flower arrangements had taken 2 days and 3 sleepless nights, cascading white orchids, roses in soft blush tones, and vines draped along the entrance like a fairy tale forest. The setup looked perfect. Unfortunately, she looked like she'd been through a war with packing tape. Soo-yeon nudged her. "Okay, Miss Bloom and Brew, you're famous tonight. Look at your name on that program." Haerim squinted at it. "Floral design by Bloom and Brew, Haerim Seo." Her heart swelled a little, until the sight of Kang Jinwoo walking in made it do a full somersault. He looked unfairly good. Black tuxedo, silver cufflinks, hair styled to perfection. The man had no right to look that effortlessly expensive. When he spotted her, his lips curved slightly. "Miss Haerim, you survived the setup." "Barely," she muttered. "Half your security guards think I'm a lost guest." "You do stand out," he said, his eyes lingering on her dusty apron. "Most people don't wear gardening tools to galas." "Fashion statement," she said quickly. "It says, 'I fight plants and win.'" Before Jinwoo could reply, a poised voice floated from behind him. "Jinwoo, darling, there you are." Haerim turned. Standing there was Yura, the woman every magazine described as perfect, tall, elegant, with a smile sharp enough to slice through diamonds. And she was holding onto Jinwoo's arm like she owned the patent to it. "Ah," Yura said, eyes sweeping over Haerim's apron. "And who is this creative person?" Jinwoo hesitated. "This is Haerim Seo. She did the flowers for tonight." Yura's gaze lingered on the orchid display. "How quaint. You must be very proud to be part of something so big." "Immensely," Haerim said sweetly. "And you must be proud to stand next to someone so expensive." Yura blinked, caught off guard. Jinwoo coughed, very obviously trying not to laugh. Soo-yeon, who had been eavesdropping from the punch table, mouthed, "You did not just say that." "I'll leave you to your plants," Yura said finally, smiling with a politeness that could freeze lava. She tugged Jinwoo's arm gently. "Come, darling. The chairman is waiting." Jinwoo hesitated, glanced at Haerim, then nodded. "I'll see you later, Miss Haerim. The arrangements are perfect." She smiled faintly. "Try not to step on any vines. They bite." When he walked off with Yura, Haerim pretended to focus on her clipboard, but her stomach twisted. Not from jealousy exactly, but from the uncomfortable reminder that his world wasn't hers. Soo-yeon sidled up beside her. "That was intense. Please tell me I didn't sound jealous." "You didn't sound jealous," Soo-yeon said, then smirked. "You sounded possessive, which is worse." Haerim groaned, burying her face in her hands. "Great. I've officially become a cliché. The florist who flirts with a Chaebol." Soo-yeon handed her a cup of punch. "Cheer up. At least your flowers outshone his fiancée." Haerim looked at the glowing orchids. "Yeah," she whispered, "but orchids wilt faster than hearts." Meanwhile, across the ballroom, Jinwoo barely heard Yura's chatter. His thoughts were somewhere near the entrance, where a certain florist had stood, messy hair and all, looking more real than anything else in the room. Chapter 6. Accidental Headlines. The morning after the gala, Haerim's alarm went off at 6 a.m. sharp, though she'd barely slept a wink. Her mind kept replaying the night before, the orchids, the tuxedo, and that Yura woman with her diamond smile. She groaned, dragging herself out of bed. No more rich guys, ever. I'm sticking to flowers, they at least don't flirt back. By the time she got to Bloom and Brew, Soo Yeon was already there, eyes glued to her phone with a look that could only mean trouble. Haerim, she said, voice trembling between panic and delight. You're viral again. Haerim froze. Please tell me it's about the flowers. Oh, it's about the flowers, all right, Soo Yeon said, turning the screen around. There it was. A glossy photo plastered across a celebrity gossip site. Kang Group CEO's tender moment with mystery florist. Who needs roses when you have her smile? The picture showed Jinwoo standing close to her at the gala, leaning in slightly as she fixed a boutonniere on his lapel. The lighting made it look suspiciously romantic. Haerim nearly dropped her coffee. Tender moment? I was stabbing a pin through his jacket. The camera says otherwise, Soo Yeon said. You're practically glowing. Haerim groaned and buried her face in her hands. I look like I'm proposing. Oh my gosh, does his fiancé know about this? As if on cue, her phone buzzed with an unknown number. She hesitated before answering. Monsieur? Jinwoo's voice came through, calm but clipped. Good morning? I assume you've seen the article. Yes, she said weakly. Apparently I'm the nation's new romantic sensation. There was a pause, then a faint sigh. I'm sorry about this. The PR team is trying to control it. Control it? Jinwoo-si, people are shipping us. There's literally a hashtag. #flower CEO. I noticed, he muttered. My board is furious. My mother already sent me a text with 20 question marks. Haerim winced. That's a lot of question marks. It is. Should I, post something? She offered. Like, I'm not dating the Chaebol, just his lapel pin. He chuckled softly, and the sound made her heart do an involuntary flutter. No, that might make it worse. Just stay low for a while. Right, she said, nodding, even though he couldn't see. I'll hide behind my tulips. Good, he said. Then after a pause, you really did look beautiful last night, though. Haerim blinked. What? I mean, your work. The flowers. They were beautiful. Right. The flowers. Of course. When the call ended, Sooyeon was grinning like a cat. He called you beautiful. Don't even try to deny it. It was about the flowers, Haerim protested, cheeks red. Sure, and I only watch dramas for the plot. Haerim threw a napkin at her. You're insufferable. Sooyeon dodged, laughing. Face it, you and Jinwoo are this season's top drama, except yours doesn't have a script. Haerim sighed, staring at the viral photo again. Yeah, she murmured. That's what scares me. Meanwhile, at Kang Group headquarters, Jinwoo sat through a board meeting where one executive was fuming. Your personal affairs are affecting our stock trends. I don't have personal affairs, Jinwoo said flatly. It's a misunderstanding. The executive slammed a tablet on the table. Then why are there fan edits of you two set to romantic music? Jinwoo rubbed his temples. I'll handle it. He wasn't sure how yet, but something told him the florist with the stubborn eyes and infectious laugh was going to make handling it a lot more complicated. Chapter 7. Coffee dates and PR disasters. If there was one thing Haerim had learned about fate, it was that it had a terrible sense of humour. Because less than 24 hours after she'd sworn to avoid Jinwoo like the plague, she was sitting across from him in a downtown cafe, under the flashing eyes of a dozen photographers pretending not to be photographers. So, she muttered, stirring her latte like it had personally wronged her. This is your PR team's idea of damage control? Apparently, Jinwoo replied dryly, sipping his espresso. They said a casual friendly meeting would tone down the rumours. By casual, they meant stalked by every entertainment blogger in Seoul? I'm beginning to suspect so. The awkward silence between them stretched for a moment before Haerim sighed. You know, I don't understand why anyone cares this much. You're a CEO, not a K-drama lead. Tell that to the internet, he said, glancing out the window where a small crowd was gathering. They seem convinced this is our first date. Haerim's spoon froze mid-stir. First what? He smirked. Relax. I said they think that. Personally, I'd say you're far too tense for a first date. She glared at him. I'm tense because you're radiating rich and unbothered energy while my entire career is trending under #FlowerCEO. Would you rather I look bothered? He asked, raising a brow. Yes. He leaned forward slightly, voice dropping just enough to make her heart skip. All right then, Miss Seo. I'm bothered. Haerim blinked, suddenly forgetting how to form words. What? By how you keep glaring at me like I'm the one who leaked the photo. Her lips twitched despite herself. You're insufferable. And you're terrible at pretending you don't like me. Her jaw dropped. Excuse me? He shrugged, amused. You're blushing. I am not. Your ears are pink. They always do that when I'm mad. Of course they do, he said, smiling into his coffee cup. Just then, a flash went off near the window. Haerim jumped, nearly knocking over her latte. Jinwoo reached out instinctively, steadying the cup. And her hand. For a split second, their fingers brushed. Her heart gave a very inconvenient flutter. The cafe seemed to fade away. Just him, her, and that faint smile he wore when no one else was watching. Then Soo-yeon's voice broke through, loudly, from across the cafe. Oh my gosh, are you two holding hands? Haerim yanked her hand back like she'd touched fire. Soo-yeon! The crowd outside erupted in camera flashes. Jinwoo exhaled slowly. Well, he said dryly, so much for subtlety. You invited her, Haerim hissed. She wasn't invited, he said, fighting a laugh, but she's certainly making this memorable. Outside, social media was already lighting up again. She looks like sunshine, and he looks like he finally found it. When the chaos finally died down, Haerim slumped in her chair. I'm going to change my name. Move to Busan. Sell succulents. Jinwoo chuckled softly. And abandon your blooming empire? She gave him a look. You're enjoying this way too much. Maybe a little, he admitted. But if it helps, I think you handled this perfectly. She blinked at him. How? We just gave the tabloids another week of headlines. Yes, he said, standing and adjusting his tie. But now everyone thinks you're charming. And you are. Haerim's face heated again. You really should stop saying things like that. Why? He asked, smirking. Because they're true? Before she could retort, he leaned in just enough to whisper, Next time, let's have coffee somewhere without reporters. Next time? She echoed. He smiled faintly. You think this is over? And with that, he walked out, leaving Haerim staring after him, heart thudding, cheeks burning, and latte forgotten. Soo-yeon plopped into his empty seat. You're doomed, Haerim groaned. Completely. Chapter 8. Boardroom Battles and Blossoms. At precisely 9:00 a.m., the conference room at Kang Group was filled with tensions so thick it could have been sliced with a credit card. A dozen board members sat around the table, all wearing identical expressions of disapproval. At the head sat Kang Jinwoo, outwardly calm, though his phone buzzed non-stop with notifications about the latest article titled, Kang Group CEO Still Blooming with Mystery Florist, Love in Full Bloom. The irony wasn't lost on him. Mr. Kang, said Director Choi, his voice sharp as a stapler click, the company's image is at stake. You must issue a public clarification immediately. Jinwoo leaned back in his chair, tone cool. Clarification about what exactly? About her, another board member blurted. This florist, she's everywhere. The tabloids are calling her your girlfriend. Jinwoo's lips twitched. A florist being good at her job doesn't concern our company. Her job? Director Choi scoffed. Your so-called friendly coffee meeting trended for 12 hours. That wasn't my doing. Perhaps not. But perception matters. The public sees a Chaebol distracted by a girl from a flower shop. That is unbecoming. Jinwoo's fingers tapped against the table once, lightly but enough to make the room go quiet. Unbecoming, he repeated softly. So, according to you, being seen with a hardworking, creative woman who owns her own business is unbecoming? The board members exchanged awkward glances. Well, of course, we didn't mean… I think you did, Jinwoo said evenly. And I disagree. Director Choi cleared his throat. You're risking your credibility, Mr. Kang. The media is already calling her your distraction. Jinwoo's eyes hardened. Then they underestimate me. He stood buttoning his suit jacket. I'll handle the PR myself. Before anyone could stop him, he left the boardroom, ignoring the murmurs behind him. Meanwhile, at Bloom and Brew, Haerim was kneeling beside a display of pink peonies when Soo-yeon burst in holding her phone like a treasure map. Haerim, you might want to sit down. Why? Did I trend again? Oh, way worse. Or better. Depends how romantic you are. She shoved the phone into Haerim's hands. On the screen was a video clip from a press conference. Jinwoo, standing confidently at a podium, surrounded by cameras. To clarify, he was saying, voice steady, Monsieur Haerim is not a scandal. She's a florist, one of the most talented people I've met. Her work represents passion and sincerity, qualities I admire deeply. I won't distance myself from someone like that simply to please headlines. The reporters erupted in questions, but he just smiled slightly and walked off the stage, leaving the internet to collectively melt down. Haerim's jaw dropped. He said that? In public? Soo-yeon nodded, eyes wide. Yup. And now, half the country is shipping you two harder than ever. Oh no, Haerim whispered. Oh yes, Soo-yeon corrected. You're officially Seoul's favourite non-couple. The bell above the door jingled. And in walked Jinwoo himself, in a crisp navy suit that made him look unfairly good for someone who'd just caused a nationwide frenzy. Miss So, he greeted. You look less panicked than I expected. I'm processing, she said flatly. You basically announced to the world that you like my… flowers. He smiled faintly. Among other things. She blinked. Excuse me? I meant your work ethic, he added smoothly, though the glint in his eyes said otherwise. Soo-yeon, ever the chaos enthusiast, whispered loudly, He's so into you. Haerim kicked her ankle. Jinwoo looked around the shop, nodding at the blooms. You know, he said, our office could use arrangements like this. A corporate contract, perhaps. Haerim frowned. A contract? He met her gaze, that infuriating half-smile returning. Think of it as business, not personal. She crossed her arms. You're impossible. And you're good for business, he said. Let's meet tomorrow to discuss the details. Haerim stared at him, torn between amusement and exasperation. You mean another friendly meeting for the internet to blow up? Exactly, he said with a wink. Only this time, I'll make sure the coffee's on me. As he left the shop, Soo-yeon groaned dramatically. Girl, you are so doomed. Haerim sighed, watching him go. Yeah, she murmured. And for once, I'm not sure I mind. Chapter 9. The Contract of Chaos. Haerim had dealt with many terrifying things in life. Demanding brides, wilting roses, and once, a raccoon that broke into her shop. But nothing compared to walking into Kang Group headquarters. The lobby alone looked like the set of a sci-fi movie. Glass walls, mirrored elevators, and people who walked like they were auditioning for a fashion ad. Soo-yeon, who had tagged along for moral support and whispered, You sure we're not underdressed? Everyone here looks like they iron their souls. Haerim glanced at her reflection in the elevator mirror. Floral blouse, tidy ponytail, tiny smudge of soil on her sleeve. I'm a florist, not a board member. They'll live. When the elevator doors opened on the 32nd floor, Jinwoo was already waiting, looking effortlessly sharp in a grey suit. Monsieur, he greeted with that polite, faintly amused tone. Welcome to Kang Group. Feels more like walking into the boss level of a video game, she muttered. He smiled. Don't worry, I'll go easy on you. Ha! I doubt that. They sat across from each other in the conference room, stacks of sample photos between them. Haerim began flipping through floral layout sketches. These, she said, sliding one toward him, are my proposals for your reception areas. Natural tones, nothing too corporate. Your office screams, I don't smile. His eyebrow lifted. It does? Loudly. He leaned back, fighting a grin. Then fix that for me. Gladly. But I'll need weekly replacements, custom deliveries, and… Done, he interrupted. She blinked. You didn't even look at the budget. I trust your taste. Dangerous words, Mr. CEO. He tilted his head. You've already survived trending twice because of me. I think we're past formalities. She rolled her eyes. You make that sound like we survived a war. He smirked. Public opinion is a battlefield. Before Haerim could reply, an assistant knocked and peeked in. Sir, the board requested a progress update. Jinwoo waved a hand. Tell them I'm in a crucial meeting. As soon as the door closed, Haerim deadpanned. A crucial meeting about peonies? He leaned forward slightly, eyes glinting. You underestimate the power of peonies, she groaned. You're impossible. Yet here you are, he said lightly, agreeing to work with me. She paused, caught between laughter and exasperation. Remind me again why I said yes. Because you like a challenge, he said, smiling. And maybe because you don't hate me as much as you pretend to. Her cheeks warmed. Bold assumption, Kang Jinwoo, he chuckled. Accurate one. The meeting lasted 2 hours, half floral planning, half playful bickering. At one point, Jinwoo tried to help arrange a bouquet prototype and ended up stabbing himself with a rose thorn. Ow! Haerim grabbed his hand on instinct. See? This is why rich people shouldn't handle nature. It's a rose, not a wild animal. And yet it fought back, she teased, dabbing the tiny spot with a tissue. He watched her carefully. You know, most people would let me suffer, she smirked. I'm not most people. Their eyes met for a beat too long, enough to make the air feel charged. Then Soo-yeon's voice broke the moment, calling from the hallway, Hey, lovebirds, the security guard wants to know if you're done flirting or if he should order lunch. Haerim froze. Jinwoo laughed outright for the first time that day. A low, genuine laugh that caught her off guard. Your assistant has impeccable timing, he said. She's not my assistant, Haerim muttered. She's my walking embarrassment. He stood, straightening his tie. Then I'll see you tomorrow for the first delivery, Miss Seo. Try not to trend again before then. No promises, she said, gathering her sketches. As he left, she caught herself smiling, just a little. Maybe this business arrangement wasn't such a terrible idea after all. Chapter 10. The First Delivery. And a little jealousy. The next morning, Bloom and Brew smelled like determination, fresh lilies, and mild panic. Haerim was fussing over every petal of her newest arrangement. White lilies, blush roses, and a few delicate sprigs of eucalyptus. It wasn't just any order. It was the first official delivery to Kang Group. Soo-yeon leaned on the counter, sipping her iced coffee like this was casual. You've fluffed that bouquet 5 times. It's flowers, not a wedding proposal. Please don't say proposal and Kang Jinwoo in the same sentence, Haerim muttered. I'm just making sure it looks perfect. He's very precise. Precise, huh? Soo-yeon smirked. That's one way to describe a man who stares at you like you're sunlight he can't afford. Haerim groaned. You seriously need to stop watching so many dramas. Oh, I live for this one, Soo-yeon said, snapping a photo. Episode 10. The Delivery of Destiny. By the time Haerim reached Kang Group's office, the building was buzzing. Everyone seemed to know who she was. Or at least, everyone stared like they did. A receptionist smiled too sweetly. Miss Seo, the CEO is expecting you. His office is through the glass doors on the right. Haerim nodded, clutching the bouquet like a shield. She took a deep breath and pushed the doors open, only to immediately freeze. Yura was there. Sitting elegantly across from Jinwoo's desk, she looked flawless as usual. White dress, perfect waves, and a smile that somehow managed to look polite and territorial. Ah, Yura said, spotting Haerim. The famous Florist. Haerim tried to smile. Good morning. Mr. Kang was just telling me about his, collaboration with you. The word collaboration dripped with disapproval. How admirable that you've come so far from a small flower shop. Haerim could practically hear the unspoken and, yet you're here in his office. Jinwoo, sensing the rising tension, stood. Yura, this isn't the time. Oh, but I think it's sweet, Yura said, standing too. Every CEO needs a little colour in his life. Haerim set the bouquet down on his desk, a little more forcefully than necessary. Colour helps brighten dull rooms, or dull meetings. Jinwoo coughed to hide a laugh. That will be all, Yura. I'll call you later. Yura's smile thinned. Of course, enjoy your flowers. The moment she swept out, Haerim exhaled, muttering under her breath. She probably has thorns under that perfume, Jinwoo chuckled, stepping closer. You handled that gracefully. Gracefully? Haerim scoffed. I nearly threw a daisy at her. He smiled, glancing at the bouquet. These are beautiful. Thanks, she said, crossing her arms. Try not to let anyone else steal credit for them. I wouldn't dare. His voice softened. You always manage to make something ordinary look alive. She blinked, caught off guard. That's the nicest thing anyone's said to me this week. Then I should say it more often. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He checked it briefly, then looked back at her with a faint grin. Apparently someone saw you enter the building. We're trending again. Haerim groaned. Of course we are. I just came to deliver flowers, not headlines. Jinwoo smirked. Maybe both come naturally to you. She pointed a finger at him. If I see one more hashtag with my name in it, I'm sending you a cactus. He laughed, a warm, genuine laugh that made her forget why she was supposed to be annoyed. Noted, but make it a pretty one. As she turned to leave, he called out, Miss So. She looked back. Thanks for the colour, he said, eyes lingering just a second too long. Her lips curved into a small, reluctant smile. Any time, Mr. Kang. Outside the office, Sooyeon was waiting by the elevator, scrolling through her phone. Guess what? She said gleefully. The internet's calling you the Chaebol's Florist. Haerim groaned into her hands. I need a vacation. Or, Sooyeon said, wiggling her eyebrows, a date. Haerim shot her a look. You're fired. Can't fire a best friend, Sooyeon sang, following her into the elevator. Episode 11 is gonna be so good. Chapter 11. The Almost Date. If anyone asked, this was strictly business. Haerim repeated that mantra as she adjusted her dress in the mirror. Twice. Then 3 times. It was just dinner with Jinwoo to discuss the floral contract at a 5-star restaurant with a view of the Han River and candlelight. So definitely business. At the restaurant, Jinwoo stood as she approached, his suit a perfect shade of charcoal that made him look even more ridiculously composed. You're early, he said, smiling faintly. She lifted her chin. No, you're late. I've just arrived on time for both of us. He chuckled, pulling out her chair. So you're punctual and witty. Dangerous combination. Haerim smirked. You should try it sometime. As the waiter poured wine, she glanced around the elegant restaurant. Soft music, hushed voices, couples leaning close together. Her stomach fluttered, and not just from hunger. So, she began, trying to sound professional. About the new office arrangements. Are perfect, Jinwoo said smoothly. But I didn't invite you here to talk about flowers. Her fork paused mid-air. Oh? I wanted to talk about you. Her eyes widened. That's not on the invoice. He smiled, leaning slightly closer. Then consider it a bonus. The food arrived, mercifully interrupting the rising tension. Delicate pasta, grilled salmon, and a salad so artful it looked like a painting. Haerim eyed his plate. That looks too expensive to eat. Then don't, he teased. You can just admire it like you do with your flower arrangements. She rolled her eyes. Do you ever not sound like a CEO? Only on weekends, he said. And maybe right now. Haerim tried not to smile, but the corners of her lips betrayed her. You're impossible. And yet, he said softly, you're still sitting here. She nearly choked on her wine. That's because leaving would be rude. Of course, Jinwoo said, pretending to believe her. Pure manners. Halfway through dessert, Their conversation drifted from business to everything else. Favorite movies, weird childhood stories, the fact that Jinwoo once tried to make ramen in a coffee maker during college. Haerim burst out laughing. You? The perfectionist Kang Jinwoo? You boiled ramen in a coffee pot? It was an experiment. It was a disaster, she said, wiping tears from her eyes. I can't believe you actually admitted that. He grinned. Only because you look adorable when you laugh. She froze, the air between them suddenly warmer than the candles. Well, she said, fumbling for her glass. You should, keep telling embarrassing stories. Keeps you humble. He laughed softly. You really don't know how charming you are, do you? Her heart did a little somersault. Stop saying things like that. People might think this is a date. He tilted his head, amusement flickering in his eyes. And if it were? She blinked, caught off guard. Then I'd probably still make you pay. Jinwoo laughed, the kind that crinkled his usually serious expression. Deal. When they finally stepped out into the cool night air, Seoul glittered around them. The Han River shimmered below the bridge and the city hummed with quiet life. Jinwoo walked beside her, hands in his pockets. You know, he said, this was nice. Nice? She teased. That's it? I gave you my best jokes tonight. He looked at her, smile gentle now. It was more than nice. It felt real. Her breath caught. Don't say that. Why not? Because then I might believe you. He studied her for a moment, then smiled again, softer this time. Good. For a second, it felt like the world around them stilled. The lights, the sounds, the distance between them. And then Haerim's phone buzzed. She glanced down. Suyeon? Is this a date or a press conference? You're trending again. Haerim groaned. You have got to be kidding me. Jinwoo peeked over her shoulder. Hat Kang Jinwoo, dinner date? She glared. Don't say it out loud. He laughed. Looks like Seoul's already decided for us. Next time, she said, trying not to smile. We're eating in a cave. He grinned. Only if there's candlelight. Chapter 12. Petals and Paparazzi. By 9 a.m., the internet was on fire. Every major gossip site, every fan page, every insider account had the same headline. Kang Group CEO spotted on a romantic dinner date with mystery florist. Haerim buried her face in her hands behind the counter of Bloom & Brew. This cannot be happening, she mumbled into her latte. Suyeon, who was scrolling gleefully through her phone, disagreed. Oh, it's definitely happening. Look, someone even made a fan edit. There's soft piano music and sparkles. Delete it. I can't. It's got 40,000 views already, Haerim groaned. I am never going outside again. Meanwhile, at Kang Group, Jinwoo was trying, and failing to look unfazed. His assistant, Minho, walked in, holding a tablet like it was a grenade. Sir, about the photos. I've seen them. They're quite romantic, sir. You look very... Don't finish that sentence. Minho cleared his throat. Public relations suggests releasing a statement. Statement? Jinwoo frowned. Yes. To clarify whether this was a personal or professional meeting. Jinwoo leaned back in his chair, thinking. If we deny it, the rumours will only grow. If we confirm it, she'll get harassed by the press. Minho hesitated. There is a third option. Jinwoo raised an eyebrow. Which is? A temporary fake relationship. To control the narrative. Jinwoo blinked. You mean pretend we're dating? Just until things calm down. 2 hours later, Bloom & Brew's front door burst open. Jinwoo walked in, looking way too calm for someone whose face was trending. Haerim froze mid-sip of her coffee. Oh no, what are you doing here? Did you come to collect your fan mail? He ignored that. We need to talk. About the scandal you caused? She said, crossing her arms. He sighed. Technically, we caused it together. Excuse me, you're the one with paparazzi. True, he said, lips twitching. But you're the one who smiled like you were in a commercial. I was laughing at your joke. So it's my fault for being funny. Soo-yeon, who had been quietly eavesdropping behind a plant, whispered, "This is better than Netflix." Haerim glared at her. "Go water the ferns." "There are no ferns." "Then buy some." Jinwoo lowered his voice. "Haerim, listen. We need to do something about this." She sighed, rubbing her temples. "Please tell me you didn't come here to ask for another fake press photo." "Actually," he said carefully, "I came to ask if you'd pretend to be my girlfriend." Haerim blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "Just for a while, until the rumors die down." She laughed, a short disbelieving sound. "You want me to fake date you, the CEO of Kang Group? Have you seen me? I can't even fake liking broccoli." "I'm serious." "So am I. Why me?" He hesitated, then said quietly, "Because you're the only one I trust not to use it for publicity." That silenced her. "Please," he added. "It'll protect both our businesses." Haerim groaned. "This is insane." "Maybe, but it might work." She looked up at him, torn between exasperation and something else. "You're lucky I like flowers more than logic." "So that's a yes?" "It's a temporary yes," she said firmly. "No kissing, no holding hands, no weird interviews." "Understood," he said, far too quickly. "And no pet names." He smiled. "Of course, sweetheart." "Jinwoo." "Fine, fine. Miss So." Later that afternoon, the press statement went live. CEO Kang Jinwoo confirms he is currently seeing Seo Haerim, owner of Bloom & Brew. The two met through a professional collaboration and have recently begun dating. Haerim stared at the headline on her phone. "I cannot believe this is my life," Soo-yeon peeked over her shoulder. "You realize this makes you like Korea's new Cinderella, right? More like its new meme." Her phone buzzed again. "Jinwoo, dinner tonight. Fake couple duty. I'll pick you up at 7. Haerim, define duty. Jinwoo, smiling, pretending, trying not to look too in love. Haerim, you wish." She stared at the screen for a long moment before typing one last message. Haerim, fine. But if the paparazzi catch us again, you're buying me dessert for life. Jinwoo, deal. Chapter 13. The Fake Date That Felt Real. Haerim had never spent this long getting ready for something fake. Her closet looked like a battlefield. Dresses tossed on the bed, shoes lined up like soldiers awaiting judgment. She settled on a simple pale blue dress and a white cardigan. Simple, not too romantic. Totally professional, fake girlfriend material, she told her reflection. Soo-yeon, sprawled on the bed with a hairbrush in her hand, disagreed. "Totally professional? You look like a leading lady about to fall in love under fairy lights." Haerim groaned. "It's dinner, not a drama finale." "Uh-huh. Tell that to the universe," Soo-yeon said, grinning. "Also wear the pink lipstick. You'll thank me later." When Jinwoo arrived, his car gleamed under the streetlights. He stepped out in a navy suit, casual but still devastatingly put together. "You look—" He paused, eyes briefly widening before he recovered. "Prepared for our mission." She raised an eyebrow. "Mission?" "Our fake relationship operation," he said with mock seriousness. "Code name. Pretend everything is normal." Haerim smirked. "You've been practicing that line, haven't you?" "Only in my head several times." The restaurant he'd chosen was cozy, tucked away on a quiet side street. No paparazzi in sight, at least not yet. "Small place," she murmured, glancing around. "Less chance of being ambushed," he said. "And they serve good bulgogi." "Fake boyfriends who feed well are my favorite kind," she teased. "Good," he said smoothly. "I plan to be your favorite kind." She nearly choked on her water. "You can't say things like that. This is fake." He gave her a tiny, maddening smile. "Right. Completely fake." Dinner went surprisingly easy. They laughed. A lot. Jinwoo admitted he once accidentally joined a yoga class thinking it was a business meditation session. Haerim confessed she once sent flowers to the wrong wedding and didn't realize until she saw the bride's confused face. "Did you run?" Jinwoo asked, laughing. "Immediately. Fastest 100-meter dash of my life." "See, we're both disasters," he said with a grin. You're a rich corporate disaster, she shot back. I'm the artistic, caffeine-fueled kind. And yet somehow we balance. The words hung there between them, heavier than either expected. After dinner, they wandered along the river, the city glowing around them. The wind tugged gently at Haerim's hair, and Jinwoo found himself watching her more than the skyline. You keep looking at me like that, she said, not meeting his gaze, and people really will think we're dating. Good, he said quietly. She stopped walking. Jinwoo. He smiled faintly. Relax. I'm just staying in character. Right, of course. But her voice wavered, and her heart definitely didn't believe it. A camera clicked in the distance. Faint, but unmistakable. Jinwoo's hand instinctively brushed hers. Don't move. They're watching. Her pulse skipped. Oh no. Just act natural, he whispered. How do you act natural when your fake boyfriend is holding your hand? She hissed. By pretending it doesn't feel nice, he murmured. She blinked up at him. You're terrible at this. I'm very convincing, he said with a grin. And maybe it was just for show. Maybe. But neither of them let go right away. The next morning, Bloom and Brew was chaos again. Sooyeon stormed in, waving her phone. You two broke the internet? Again. Haerim snatched the phone. A photo on the screen showed her and Jinwoo walking hand in hand under the city lights, smiling softly at each other. The caption read, CEO Kang and his florist, love blossoms by the Han River. Haerim groaned. I give up. Sooyeon grinned. Just admit it. You're living a K-drama. Her phone buzzed. A new message. Jinwoo. Good morning. Want to continue our mission? Dinner part 2 tonight? Haerim. You mean fake dinner date, part 2? Jinwoo. Exactly, unless you're starting to enjoy it. Haerim. Keep dreaming, CEO. Jinwoo. I do. About you. She stared at the message, cheeks warming. Fake or not, things were starting to feel dangerously real. Chapter 14. The Slip-Up. The cafe smelled like coffee and possibility. Haerim was carefully arranging a new bouquet, soft pink peonies mixed with cream-coloured roses. When her phone buzzed, Jinwoo, pick you up in 20. Mission, dinner part 2. Haerim rolled her eyes. Mission? Sooyeon snorted. You're basically a romantic spy now. I am not. You totally are, Sooyeon said, smirking. You even have a code name. Florist of the Century. Haerim groaned. I'm going to throw a vase at you someday. By the time she arrived at the restaurant, Jinwoo was already waiting. On time, he remarked, eyes sweeping over her outfit. Haerim flushed. That's because I am professional. And yet, he said softly, you look like you're going to steal the spotlight tonight. Spotlight? I'm delivering flowers, not attending a ball, he smirked, offering his arm. Then allow me to escort you to the battlefield. She blinked. A battlefield? The restaurant, where paparazzi and whispers lurk. Haerim snorted. You're ridiculous. Flattery will get you nowhere, he replied, tone mock serious, though his eyes betrayed amusement. Dinner began innocuously enough. They discussed flower arrangements, table designs and Jinwoo's office lobby, all while trying not to laugh at how ridiculous they must look holding hands occasionally to look natural. But then it happened. A waiter tripped, plates clattered, wine sloshed. Jinwoo reacted instantly, shielding Haerim from the spray of red liquid, and in the process their faces ended up very close. Haerim's heart thudded. I'm fine, he said softly, breath warm against her cheek. Their eyes met. Too long, too intense. Excuse me. A random diner coughed somewhere, snapping Haerim out of it. Jinwoo cleared his throat. We should finish dinner. Haerim nodded, trying to act normal, though her fingers lingered against his. Yes, definitely normal. After dessert, they were leaving when someone clicked a photo. Just as Jinwoo instinctively tucked a stray hair behind her ear, Haerim froze. No, don't. Too late. The paparazzi had captured the moment. Relax, Jinwoo said, catching her hand. The shot will fuel the narrative. We're good actors. Haerim glared. I am not acting. He raised an eyebrow. Really? Because your heart seems to be doing all the talking, she flushed. My heart is irrelevant. He leaned closer, whispering, maybe, but it's very convincing. Her breath hitched. Stop saying things like that. I can't help it, he admitted, lips just inches from hers, her hands clenched in her lap. I'm going to lose all credibility if you keep leaning in, he smirked. Good. Then maybe we can skip the pretending next time. Haerim blinked, caught between exasperation and the undeniable pull between them. Outside, the night air was cool, carrying the scent of flowers from the city park nearby. Su Yeon's text arrived just as they walked. Su Yeon. #almost kiss, #florist and Chaebol trending. You two are unstoppable. Haerim groaned. She's never going to let this go. Jinwoo chuckled, entwining their fingers deliberately this time. Neither will I. Haerim's pulse quickened. Jinwoo. I'm serious, he murmured. Fake or not. I don't want to let go. Her cheeks heated. Then don't. For the first time, pretending felt impossible. Chapter 15. Blossoms and Confessions. The sun was dipping low over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of peach and lavender. Haerim had never thought flowers could look so perfectly serene, until she and Jinwoo were walking through the small garden behind Kang Group's headquarters. It was quiet, almost private. The city buzzed far away, but here, surrounded by blooms of every colour, the world felt theirs. You know? Haerim said softly, brushing a stray petal from her cardigan. I never thought I'd be here, like this. Here meaning with me? Jinwoo asked, a small smile tugging at his lips. Fake date with a Chaebol, she corrected, eyes downcast. I mean, it's ridiculous. He stopped walking and looked at her, serious now. I'm glad it's ridiculous, Haerim blinked. Excuse me? I mean, he said, stepping closer, because it gave me a chance to see you like this. Away from the chaos, away from the cameras. Just you. Her heart skipped. Jinwoo. He reached out, lightly brushing her hand against his. Haerim, I don't want this to be fake anymore. She froze. What do you mean? I mean, he admitted, voice low, I like you. Not just as my florist, not just as part of some staged PR stunt. I really like you. Everything about you. Her breath caught. Jinwoo, you don't have to say it, he whispered. I just needed you to know, because pretending doesn't feel right anymore. Not when I want this real. Haerim's cheeks burned. She swallowed hard, looking at him, at the way the light caught his eyes, at the subtle warmth in his expression. I like you too, she finally admitted, voice barely above a whisper. I didn't want to say it because I thought you were just playing along for the cameras. He smiled, stepping closer until there was only a breath between them. I never was playing, Haerim. Even when we were pretending, I felt this. Her hand went to his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart beneath her palm. Me too, she said again, a little louder this time. Jinwoo's smile softened. Then let's stop pretending. And under the pastel sky and the gentle scent of blossoms, he leaned in, slow, careful, and utterly real. Their lips met, gentle at first, testing then with growing certainty, like every laugh, every glance, every accidental touch had been leading to this moment. Haerim's heart soared. Jinwoo? He pulled back just enough to smile down at her. Real this time. No cameras, no scripts, just us. She laughed softly, resting her forehead against his. I think I could get used to this. And I already have, he said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Behind them, the flowers swayed gently in the evening breeze, as if celebrating the beginning of something beautiful. Something that had started with a fake contract, a bouquet, and a Chaebol, who refused to let go. Chapter 16. Love in Full Bloom. The city of Seoul sparkled below them, 1,000 lights reflecting off the Han River as Haerim adjusted the final bouquet in the display window of Bloom and Brew. It had been months since the fake dating had begun. Months of laughter, teasing, work, and countless stolen moments, and now it was all very wonderfully real. Her phone buzzed. Jinwoo, lunch break. I brought dessert. Meet me on the rooftop? Haerim smiled. He always knew the perfect way to make a day brighter. The rooftop of Kang Group's building was transformed into a private garden, an oasis of greenery and blossoms. Jinwoo was already there, holding a small box tied with a ribbon. You brought chocolate? She asked, raising an eyebrow. And strawberries, he added, handing her the box. A little reward for the best florist in Seoul. Haerim laughed. The best florist in Seoul, huh? That's a dangerous title to live up to. You've earned it, he said earnestly. They sat among the flowers, the city buzzing quietly below them. There was no press, no cameras, just the two of them and the soft rustle of petals in the breeze. So, Haerim said, taking a bite of chocolate-covered strawberry, what now? We've survived paparazzi, fake dates, and viral memes. Jinwoo smiled, brushing a stray petal from her hair. Now, we live, together, without pretending, without worrying about the world. Just us. Haerim leaned into him. You really mean that? Completely. Her heart swelled. Then I guess this is our happily ever after. Jinwoo took her hand, intertwining fingers. I think it's only just beginning. The months that followed were filled with quiet mornings, creative projects, and romantic dinners. Sometimes in restaurants, sometimes in their little rooftop garden. They laughed, teased, and occasionally argued over which flowers suited which room, but always found themselves back in each other's arms. Soo-yeon naturally documented every single moment, from surprise flower deliveries to the inevitable selfies that made Haerim groan and Jinwoo laugh. One afternoon, as Haerim arranged a cascade of cherry blossoms in Jinwoo's office, he leaned against the doorway, watching her with a soft smile. You know, he said, I thought controlling the narrative was tricky. Haerim smirked. Let me guess. You learned it's easier to let love bloom? Exactly, he said, closing the distance between them and brushing a hand over hers. Because this, us, is better than any headline. Haerim smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. Then let's make sure it stays that way. Jinwoo kissed the top of her head. Forever and always. Outside, the city continued to bustle, oblivious to the quiet love that had flourished above the streets. Inside, among the blooms of roses, peonies, and cherry blossoms, Haerim and Jinwoo finally found their place. A love that started with a bouquet, grew through laughter and banter, survived chaos and paparazzi, and now bloomed fully, freely, and beautifully. Because sometimes life gives you a little chaos, and the right person to make it unforgettable. And in the end, love really does bloom where it's meant to.